We have great respect for our kings in Africa, and especially in Nigeria. Some of them are almost worshipped pre-colonial era. Nigerian monarchs, to me, was a platform to showcase the rich culture that abound in the country, which has been so heavily neglected. The monarch has been the people who had existed even before the colonial inculcation. So they had played a very important role, and many of these have been swept under the carpet, has not been well documented. And I felt at this new era, it was very important that I look into this and revive that memory, by celebrating these various kingdoms and their kings and their culture and, and their heritage. His Majesty the Ovi of Ugeli sits in a very important town in the Oil Delta region. He rules over a section of the Urobo kingdom, it's a different ethnic group in the Delta region. They are very proud people, and I was sort of drawn to him because of his fashion. And he was also a very important king to photograph because he has done quite a lot in terms of trying to bring peace to his kingdom. The Kano Emir was a very interesting monarch. He's a very powerful king, so having access to him, of course, was not easy. He seems to have kept a lot of this whole heritage intact. For instance, if you see the palace in Kano, it's a very old palace, but it's been maintained over the years, and I had a very short time to photograph him, so I sat down in his palace and I quickly did his portrait, and then he stood up and said he was going to the mosque to pray, and if I was still going to be around, or if I can hoop up, follow him to the mosque, I'm most welcome. It was a Friday, and he rode on this lovely, amazing classic green silver ALW 11 Rolls Royce. So I also made his portrait while he was riding on this car on the street of Kano. That king, his name is Obi Anyansi James, and it's Africa's longest reigning monarch. He died early this year, a few months after I photographed him, when the Queen visited the country, in the 60s. And the Queen gave him a robe, and he's been keeping that robe for so long. He's been wearing it, and it was not weird for me to photograph him. He is a big fan of the British Queen, and he told me he's also a good friend of the Queen. That simply goes by to show you the connection between Nigeria and Britain. They still leave their marks within various kingdoms, both negative and positive. That photograph is my favorite photograph in this project for now. It's called officially the Dane of Agbo. He is also one of the youngest kings in the world. He became a king at the age of 2.5 after his late father died. But then he was taken to Britain, and he was educated in Britain and grew up as an adult before coming back to sit on his throne. And since then he's been on the throne in Agbo. There's so many undertones to this project. Apart from celebrating the kings, it's also looking at the cultural relevance of many of these monarchs in the landscape of this country's heritage. There have been a lot of pictures taken of various African monarchs, and especially kings from Nigeria. But most of the images were taken by foreigners, and especially during the colonial era, or in most cases when a king is being deposed. It doesn't look dignifying. It looks more or less like a subject and a master. So I think it was very important for me as an African and as someone who comes from here to see that dignity in them and use my medium to tell the world how important these people really are and show them in that light of the lion that they are.
The Economist.